Hi. I'd like to continue the conversation about science and religion, and specifically science and Judaism, since I am a Jew and I can only talk from a Jewish perspective, as that is what I have the most experience with. So I think a major question is, since a defining text of Judaism is the Bible, is to explore the relationship of a Jew to the Bible, to the Torah, in as much as scientific aspects are concerned. So, of course, there are a few areas, or I should say many areas, of the Torah, of the Bible, that is contrary to scientific findings. And contrary to scientific findings is actually not it's not a very good way of putting it. And the reason why is because the Bible is in essence literature, and literature has many forms, and among those forms of literature are such examples as parable and metaphor. And therefore, to say that something in the Bible is contrary to science is the same thing as saying that I don't know, an allegorical tale or something like this is contrary to science. Now this doesn't mean that I don't take what it says in the Bible seriously. Like for instance, that Abraham's relationship to God, or Moses taking the Jews out of Egypt. But there is an important thing to say, especially as far as the Jewish attitude is that the Bible is called the written law, and there's something called the oral law, which is an explanation. So to give you one example, okay, it says in the Bible, everyone's familiar with the creation story. 7 days, right? God created on the first day heaven and earth, and there was darkness, and the Spirit of the Lord is hovering, and so forth, and it was evening and it was night. It was evening and it was morning, day one, or the first day. Okay, but a day is the rotation of the earth, a 24-hour period, and you need a sun. So it's not really a day, right? And the scholars have already picked up on this, and reading the 7 days of creation as a blow-by-blow account of the creation of the world is clearly not the intention of what it is. It's not at all saying that this is the way the world was created. If you look in the Jewish oral traditions, you find that many worlds were created and destroyed, and it gives certain numbers, and there are different books and scholars out there who come up with some type of approximation of the the age of the universe when you account for all these worlds that were created and destroyed along the way, and that but that's not really. It comes up to about the same amount as like that. The physical scientists would say, and this to me is missing the point, really, because the Torah, the Bible, is not is not a work of science, and if there are places, or where there are places that run contrary to scientific knowledge, it's perfectly fine to translate what it says in the Bible as a literary form other than literal or fact or what have you. And just in case you think I'm being disingenuous by saying this, and you think I'm just trying to, dodge the bullet, I can bring you a number of sources that state this clearly. So, for instance, the Ibn Ezra, who is one of my favorite biblical commentators because of his acerbic humor, as well as his attention to detail, and as well as his name and mine are the same, but that's a different story. At any rate, he in many cases writes that where logic dictates, you have to translate the Bible in a literal way. Now, he lived in the 1300s. Okay, so this is a good deal before the Bible was thought to conflict with scientific findings. So even in his day, before the age of the universe was calculated or so forth, still he had no problem saying that, well, logically, or not just logically, meaning rationality perhaps dictates that this cannot be literal. And in some cases he uses that for just one example, in where it talks about the straps you put on your arm, right, the phylacteries. It says, bind them on your heart and between your eyes. And there are people who would take that to be not literal, such as that it's like, put it in your mind, and hold it close to your heart. And he says, well, since there's no rational need to take the verse out of its literal meaning, we're going to say it's literal, and you actually have to write these words down. It's a commandment. Write these words down, put them on your arm, put them on your head. Okay. But you see, he has no problem saying that, well, he would have no problem saying that the 7 days of creation is not a literal story. It's allegory or something like this. Another example I can give you of a very famous, authentic Jewish scholar, and I stress that because, again, I'm not saying anything that is not totally in line with Jewish teaching, and that is Maimonides, Rambam. So he says, for instance, if you have all these depictions of God, like God's arm and God's feet, where it says, the earth is my footstool and the heavens are my throne. Okay, God doesn't say it. God doesn't stand. This doesn't make God has no corporeality. So what do these things mean? It's expressions. That's all. It's just expressions. It's human type expressions. It's that you use in order to get some type of a feel for what you're dealing with. But it's of course not meant to be taken literally. And that is the Jewish attitude. Having said that, does this mean that science is not open for correction and skepticism itself? Of course not, and that's what science is, isn't it? I mean, you should be skeptical about science itself. So I take kind of I take not offense, because getting offended is passé, but I take issue when somebody representing a scientific point of view or thinks they're representing the scientific point of view, says that, okay, well, the Earth is such and such a year old, and how you silly person believing in the Bible that it's only a certain amount old. And again, as I told you, you're entitled to believe in science over what it says in the Bible just for the fact that the Bible is allowed to be understood in more ways than just the literal. At any rate, however, are you saying it's not up for debate? Are you saying the age of the universe is not up for debate? That's unscientific of you. That's unscientific, because if the redshift, for instance, okay, and I'm not a physicist, but this is the famous thing, that the redshift discovered by Hubble shows that the universe is expanding and so forth, and therefore, if you can trace it back to where the light, of the galaxies would have been in one point, so it's 13.7 billion years, something to this effect. Could it be that the phenomena of the redshift is affected by certain things, such that it could be look to move faster than the speed of light? And I know what I'm saying sounds a little bit crazy, but there's something in the standard model of quantum physics. There's something there about the strong nuclear force or something like this. Look it up. It's of the effect of some particle being faster than the speed of light. Okay, or that the universe itself expanded faster than the speed of light, and that explains certain type of phenomena. I don't know. That sounds like to me, therefore, that potentially the universe is not as old as it seems, just because if that is true, then the redshift. Again, I'm not posing this as a serious theory, but I'm just saying that you're entitled to be skeptical about science, and that you should be. I mean, that's how science progresses. So I think the main thing is that, number one, don't shut down the discussion just because a person is not convinced. That's part and parcel of the scientific thing. Secondly, for somebody to be religious and still maintain that the Bible is an authoritative text is perfectly okay as far as science is concerned, because the Bible contains more than just the literal. It's also allegorical. It's also metaphoric, and so on, and all types of forms of literature like that. And therefore, don't be concerned if you're Jewish or another faith that has a holy book, and that holy book is not does not conform to physical truths. Well, do you have a tradition for understanding that text in a way other than the literal? And in Judaism, we certainly do. And that's all for now. Thank you.